Like 3 to 4 for you guys. 3 p.m. Shoosh. You guys are all clocking in. You guys not working? I suppose not everybody has to be working. We are jobless. Yes, sir. Uh, that's funny. We're jobless. I wish I could like play like some music in the background. You could hear it. I could replay like a little bit of like some piano music or something. You know what I mean? A little bit of piano. Sensor warning next time. Sensor warning. What am I censoring? Oh, my bad. My fault, guys. My fault. Forgot not to say that word. Yeah. Really cloudy here. He doesn't. It's a sleepy kind of day. Just joined Premier team as a coach. So excited to learn some theory about util. I'm excited to show you some theory about util, which is what we're going to be talking about today. I am tired. It's 9 a.m. I just woke up not that long. Look at my hair. I haven't even drank my flow state. In summary, what are we doing here? All right, let's talk. Let's get down to business. Sexy hair though. All right. Can I before we begin? Can I just get a tired in the Big 26 is crazy. Can I get a just like a rank check? Like what ranks are we working with here? Just everyone type in your rank. Ascendant, silver, ascendant, bronze, plat, immortal, gold, bronze. Bronze ones. Alright, bro. Okay. Rank 3, so mad range of ranks. Yeah, that's the one thing that is a little bit hard about these calls is kind of gotta appease to everyone, you know, when it comes to ranks. From plastic to immortal is crazy. Deja vu. Yep, just talked about this last night. All right, so in this call, we are going to be learning about utility usage because, as you guys know, well, I would assume you know by now, it's been a while since this happened, so this is not exactly like new. But for initiators, well, not him. Well, not her either. What the hell? Where's all the initiators at? Oh shoot. For initiators, they got a util nerf a few patches ago. It's been probably like 3 months now or something. Where initiators no longer have 45-second cooldown for their main PC utility. For example, like Sova for his dart, Fade for her eye, KO's knife, breach, stun. All this stuff got nerfed, so now it has a 60-second cooldown, right? Yo, what up, Blue Eye? Good morning. Yeah, so it's a 60-second cooldown, which is a pretty big cooldown difference. If you think about like how many times you could get a dart off before, like say you used a dart within the first like second of the round, right? Then so each round is what, a minute and 40 seconds. So you use a dart off the rip, you have 45 seconds cooldown, you get another dart for your sight hit. And then by the time like post plant is coming to an end, right? Because the spike is 40 seconds. By the time the spike is like ticking down, you get dart for a third time, right? So you can get your dart 3 times in a round. Whereas now, you really only get your dart twice in a round. And a lot of times, like you have to think about it in terms of team play and ranked. You have to think about like when's the best time to use these pieces of utility. You know what I mean? Like, because you don't necessarily want to burn it off the rip anymore. Like back in the day, the play was to just use your utility right off the rip because you'd get it again by the time the round was like, you know, midway through or anything like that. But now it's kind of like you have to use it a little bit more sparingly, you know, because if you want to use like a dart or something, like say you use your dart off the rip mid here, right? And your enemies are just sitting back here, and now your dart is gone for 60 seconds. For the next 60 seconds, we have no idea where the enemies go. They could run out A, they could run out B, they could run through mid. Like it's a little bit different nowadays than it kind of used to be. Um yeah, because the rechargeables take a little bit longer. So we're gonna talk about like best times to use your utility. We'll look at it from a rank standpoint, and then we can look at it from like a match standpoint as well. Like for those of you who compete or are aspiring to compete, because I feel like it is a bit different in ranked versus like in matches and stuff. Um, but uh, who was broken when she released? Oh, KJ. Oh, KJ used to have no range on her turret. Like you used to be able to run as far away from the utility. Like there used to not be a circle around her turret, so you could literally set up your turret right here and watch A main, and you could be like all the way over here, and it would still be up. Um, if you're a new player, I would play like Clove. Clove is really good, especially for aggressive players. All right, anyway, so let's start. What map do you guys want to look at? What um Abyss, Lotus. Okay, Lotus isn't in the map pool. Abyss, split, Abyss, Haven. I'm seeing a lot of Abyss. Seeing a lot of Abyss. Can I do a poll? Is there a way to do a poll? Oh, can we type 1 for Abyss and type 2 for Split? Type 1 for Abyss, 2 for Split. Alright, I reckon that's a lot more 1s than 2s, so we're gonna go with Abyss. Okay, so your rank comps usually consist of what? You usually have double duelists, probably a Clove, I would say. Maybe a Sentinel. Um, Honestly, in this meta, we have Chamber usually. We'll just say I see Waylay a lot and Yoru. So this is kind of like what your comp would be looking like, right? Press the plus sign. Oh, sheesh. I like that. Yo, thank you for that. Chamber. I can't do it. Raise? You can main raise, yeah. Reyna, Jet, Chamber, Omen, Sova. Yeah, I mean, Reyna's pretty bad now. If you see people playing Reyna in your ranked matches, or if you're playing Reyna in your ranked matches, then you're just trolling your team, because Reyna's really bad. What about Sage? Um, which smoke is better on Abyss, Clove or Omen? Omen is probably better on Abyss just because the smokes have a longer range. Like you can smoke pretty far away, whereas Clove is like very small. But I'm just talking about ranked specifically. You're probably going to see more Clove, especially in the higher ranks. I suppose if you're in the lower ranks, you might see Omen players, maybe an Astra player if they're really like willing to be that team player, because Astra is ultimately the best smoked character on this map in general. Um, but this is the comp we're going to go with because this is the comp that I see all the time, at least in ranked. And I feel like in higher ranks, this is kind of what you see. I know in lower ranks, people tend to play like Sage and stuff because Sage is pretty easy to play and also pretty fun and can be very useful. But in higher ranks slash like pro play, you're never really going to see a Sage on this map. Maybe one-off like comps if a team is running it, they'll play Sage. But Veto and Deadlock, yeah, Veto and Deadlock are good as well. Again, I'm just going off of like what I see the most in ranked at the moment, and then we can talk about team play stuff later. But as far as utility usage goes, so obviously we're mainly going to be looking at like initiators because their utility is the one that got affected the most by this. In ranked, I would say utility usage like for initiators is relatively the same because of the 60-second cooldown. I feel like it's not really like yeah, I will do competitive stuff too, Kenji. Yes. Uh Lethal, I can talk about Harbor towards the end, but Clove is the worst smoker in the game right now. Clove is pretty bad, but you're gonna see Clove a lot regardless, just because of how easy they are to play, and they're basically like a duelist. Okay, so let's say you're taking B for example. Um, so again, back to what we were talking about, like with like the here, let me make these a little bit smaller. Back to what we were talking about, like with the dart cooldown being 60 seconds. Like obviously, if your team is full hitting a site, like you're just gonna use your dart for site, right? Like that just makes like the most sense. Like, uh, if you guys are like full dead set on going B, like you're gonna use your dart to like help out. But so for like a straight up B exec or a straight up A exec, like just use your dart for sight, use your drone, whatever. Let's say you go into like a default, right? Like you have like a chamber that wants to lurk. Well, actually, they probably put their trip here. Let's say you have a chamber that wants to go mid, your Clove's going mid, your Yoru is holding B, and your Waylay wants to get A main space, or your Waylay wants you to get A main space with them, right? You don't want to use your dart off the rip. Like I see a lot of people using their dart like to clear A main, which you can also do with a drone. But again, you also don't always want to use your drone off rip either. Thing about these PC utility, like drone, you never get back right throughout the round. Like you just don't get this back at all. So you have to be careful. Like if you're using your drone to take space, you have to make sure you don't give that space up like ever, because like if you're taking the space using such a heavy piece of utility where you're guaranteeing information, like because with drone, obviously you can see like it's not like a fade dog, right? Like fade dog, you can't see who's shooting the dog unless you like physically see them. But with drone, you can see everything that's happening, right? Because you are literally in the drone. Um, so it guarantees you information, right? So if you see two people here, you guarantee know that there's two people here. Whereas a fade dog, like one person could shoot it, and you don't know if there's two there, you don't know if there's three, like you don't know who it is, stuff like that. Yes, we're gonna talk about operators and stuff too, because right now is a very heavy op meta, and this is the reason why. Is because the utility usage. So because of these recent changes, say you wanted to do a default, right? But you've just burned your dart off the rip right here. Well, now, like the next 60 seconds, you don't have your dart. All you have is your drone for information, right? So say you wanted to start in a default, you take A main, they shoot your dart instantly. So all you know is there's at least one A main. That's all you know, right? So now you can't really go back anywhere without having, like, you can't go into a site exec easily because you're missing one of your key pieces of utility that you're not going to get back for 60 seconds, which is why this meta is so heavy for operators, because there's so much less utility being thrown around that operators can just sit on lines and have like, oops, sorry, they can have like the easiest time just sitting here and picking people off one by one. Same thing with like mid. Say there's an opper bottom mid and you use your dart or drone here. Now you've used one piece of utility that when you go back mid, it's going to be like impossible to find this person or know this person is here without just like swinging into them and dying if they have an op, right? So I would say, like, when it comes to dart usage and drone usage and stuff like that, when you're playing in an environment where you guys are playing slower, you really have to pick and choose like your times where you're going to use your dart. For example, like if your mid round game plan is to default and then hit a site, like a lot of times, unless you're baiting out your dart for like XYZ reasons, if you have an IGL that is telling you to use it, like obviously you're going to use it. But unless you're baiting out your dart for something like that, like to show them that you're there, I would say the best thing to do is using jump spots and then like double swings. Double swings and jump spots are like your best friend right now, because then what this allows you to do is if you jump spot A main, you see one or two, and say you have three here, you guys are like clearing it, your TP's out because you know there's three people here. Maybe your Clove uses like their little decay thing on Yoru or whatever. Now, if you guys want to hit sight, like you have your dart. I don't know if you guys know that like giant big ass pipe that runs up here, or if you throw it back sight. Now like mid round, you can use your dart to hit sight. Because like as a defender, you have to think about the utility that is like the hardest to deal with when a team is sitting sight, right? Like obviously they have their smokes, which you're probably gonna put here, or you could do the one-way smoke if you want to do the one-way smoke. But for the sake of this, we're just gonna do this. You have your Waylay dashing in, right? You have your Waylay throwing this. You probably have a Yoru flash of some sort. But then also a lot of times you're pairing it with this to reveal information, right? So you have all this utility coming at you and a dart on top of it to scan where you are. So you want to save this kind of utility for like sight hits and stuff like that. Does that make sense? Like you don't want to just use this stuff willy-nilly because it takes so long to come back. Again, in ranked, it's a little easier because a lot of times ranked is just like A site, we're just going to run it down. B site, we're just going to run it down. Mid split, we're just going to run it down. Like ranked is a lot easier to just like figure out when to use your utility because it's like, all right, my team has this objective of going A. I'm just going to use my dart to help them get A site. And then if we don't get A, then we run away and we go B. Or we run away and we go mid to B. Like, it's very straightforward and ranked. But yes, yeah. During an exec, dart is, I would say darts and flashes are like one of the like most key pieces of utility, which is why like back in the day you used to see a lot of like KO, and you still do see a lot of KO like being played in place of like the Yoru. Like if you don't want to play a Yoru, like a lot of people will play KO. The reason why I say Yoru is really good right now is because Yoru essentially does the same thing that KO does, but he also has the ability to get across the map in a second. So like for defense, if you're playing B, like you can have a TP that you throw like from spawn that goes all the way over towards A, like in this corner or something. And if they're going A, you're instantly already here. So back in the day, you see a lot of double initiator comps because it was just really good. But Yoru is basically like an OP initiator right now because you can use his gate crash, his TP, and his flashes as like initiator. And then you can use his gate crash to like TP across the map. And his ultimate is literally like a drone that can't be broken. So he's very overpowered. I have a feeling at some point soon we're gonna see Waylay and Yoru nerfs because they're quite largely the majority of duelists that you see in pro play, and usually they kind of balance their agents based off of what's happening in pro play. So I would assume that soon we're gonna see a little bit of a nerf to these two. We're running Waylay, Teo, Breach, Asher, Chamber. Honestly, Teo's being played on this map too, and I don't mind it. It's actually kind of a fun comp with Teo. I talked about running a Teo comp with my team, but we ended up not doing it. How would they nerf Yoru though? He's already nerfed to the ground. I think if they made his gate crash a lot shorter of a time period, like that it was allowed to like be up, I think that would be like a pretty heavy nerf to him. Because if you think about it, like you could get down in a position and you have two Yoru TPs that you can throw back and they last for like a pretty long time. This gives you the ability to stay, like overstay or welcome in a space that's not yours for like a very, very long time. So that could be one way that they could nerf him. Because the nerfs they did to him before really didn't like, it affected him in the sense of like you could no longer use your ultimate to like get kills necessarily. I mean, you still can if you combo it with like other utility, but like literally before you could just throw everything, like the whole kitchen sink at somebody in your ult and then just pop out and kill them and TP away. Now it takes a little bit more skill to get a kill with your ult, but again, your ult, in especially in like pro play and stuff, your ult is not necessarily meant to get you a kill unless you like combo utility with it. It's really meant to just like put a lot of pressure on the enemies and gain information, right? Because at the end of the day, this game is about gaining information about who is where and then using that information to attack the bomb sites, right? I know it's not as long as I think it, like it's not, I know it's not like super, super long, but it still is pretty long. It's still pretty long, I think. Uh, you give flowchart KO Abyss defense in structured environments. Gives you the option to hold B while your team works in other section of the map. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, he's a little bit OP. What do you mean flowchart KO Abyss defense? Like, I would say for defensively, like if you're running a KO, in like your comp for defense, like what I like to do with my KO is usually my KO is playing one of two spots. Like usually my KO is either playing bottom mid or top mid with a flash lineup that lands. There's like a little thing like up here. So usually I'll have him play here with like with a couple of either my duelists or like one of my smokes players because we run double controller. But like usually I'll have my KO play here with this pot flash lineup that is like it's a one-way flash, so it doesn't blind you. It only blinds like the people that are down here. Pro players don't use healers in teams. No, not usually. Sometimes Sage on certain maps, but no. Sky on certain maps too, but not on Abyss. But a lot of times, like what I'll do is I'll have my KO play here because ultimately this is a really good knife, right? Like you hear any pressure A main, this knife is unbreakable. And it just immediately shuts down what they're doing, right? Like if you hear a drone, like obviously you have to be smart with what you're trading utility for, right? So if the enemy has a Sova and their Sova is droning A main like this, and you know like this knife, like he's droning from here, right? This knife is like super big value because you're getting rid of a one-time use utility that's 400 credits for a free piece of utility, right? This is like an ultimate cancel right here because this literally makes this drone useless. The only thing they know is KO is A main, and then you're getting the information like if he has teammates like along with him, right? So this is like big information. So what I'll do is I'll condition my KO throwing this knife like off rip a few rounds in a row just to make sure that they know like, hey, you're not going to be able to fast push A on us without our KO being able to deny your push. And then what I'll tell my KO to do later, like usually I'll set up my waylay with my KO. Usually what I'll do is I'll have my waylay start walking up without this knife. And then I'll have my KO like back here, either back here or back here. There's two different spots you can play as KO. But like I'll have my KO back here with a pot flash lineup that either goes behind my waylay or that goes like right here, like in front of this bot, not like in front of the box, but you know what I mean, like right behind his head. So that if he does get fought, you have good like perfect god tier flashes for him. And then also on top of that, you can still throw your knife in this corner like mid round, which is again good. Or if you're being pressured and your waylay gets off, then you throw your knife like right here on the ground. You can either throw it on the ground right here, like because if you have a, let's say you have an Astra, right? If you have an Astra, you're gonna have like your star for A main, and as soon as your waylay gets out, you can just be like, yo, smoke A main. Boom, you pop the smoke A main right here. Your KO knife is thrown on the ground right here, and their push, like say they have like a 4-man push right here, is automatically stopped, like just like that. Most optimal comp for Abyss, I mean, it's really just like, I mean, it's really, let's look at there was a match yesterday. We can look at the MIBR because I think they played Abyss. NRG won this, so they played Viper. They played Viper, Waylay, Teo, Omen, Sova. So I think musts on this map, in my opinion, I think Waylay is a must. I think Sova is a must. Some sort of controller, whether it's Omen or Astra, is a must. One of those two. So right now you have the option of this. I think this is a must. Sova is a must, and then the rest you can kind of flex to whatever you want, right? Like I prefer KO because information is good and flashes are good. And then, I mean, if you want to run a Sentinel, I've seen people run Vito just because he has TPs that can get like, there's like some wacky TPs you can do that get you like across the map in like 2 seconds if you're playing B. I don't know if it's like, I can't remember. Somebody did it though. It's like you set up like a TP here and here or something like that. And then like if you're playing B, you run here, TP, and then you're like already A. I don't know. There's some like dummy OP stuff that you can do with Vito TPs. Like genuinely. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I saw somebody doing a setup that was like insane. Double duelist can be good. But again, the thing about big maps is like you need how do I explain this? Because again, we're in such a weird meta right now. I think this is probably the weirdest meta I've ever been a part of, just because of the nerfs. Bro, what are we saying? Breach instead of KO for Abyss with this comp? I don't think you use Breach just because I think Breach is in a very bad spot right now. I think Breach is probably one of the worst initiators in the game. And again, it just comes back to the same as like just no. He just doesn't provide a lot of info. Like he provides no info. All he has is a stun and his flashes. So I think Breach is pretty bad right now because a lot of people are running solo initiator. Like a lot of people won't even consider a KO. Like they would just do double duelist like with Yoru because double duelist is so popular right now. With Waylay Yoru being like the biggest combo or Raze Yoru, stuff like that. Because Yoru is so popular, people are trading out their initiator, like their second initiator, for a Yoru instead, which means that their initiator that they have has to be like some sort of scan, right? So you need like the Sova drone or like the Teo drone. You need something that has information, or like Sky, the Sky Dog, and Sky Flash, and Sova Dart. Like you need some piece of information, and Breach just does not have that for you. No, KO knife does not hit anything. And or Vito cannot be hit by anything in his ult other than like guns and knives, like stuff like that, like jet knives. But otherwise, Vito 100% counters every piece of utility in the game. And Neon ult, yeah. So anyways, this is why this meta is pretty weird right now because there's such a lack of utility being used. Like let's look at all these like let's look at all of the maps from yesterday, right? So bind, we had double initiator and single initiator. Single initiator being Fade, who is really good but also really bad at the same time. Again, the thing that a lot of people have to choose between is Fade and Sova, and they both allow you to do different things, but they both have both of their passive utility or their like bot utility, like Fade's Prowlers. Like you get two of them, obviously that's good. Sova's drone you only get one, right? But the thing that you have to think about with this utility is like, what are you trading for this, right? So like with Sova's drone, you're instantly getting the information, right? We talked about if you see the people, you know there's like XYZ there, right? Whereas Fade Dog, you as soon as it sees somebody, it goes straight for them, but you don't know if there's more than one person there unless they accidentally like two or three people shoot at it, right? But if only one person shoots at it, then you're only guaranteeing the information on one person. And you don't know who it is, right? So you have like a trade-off. You also get two of them, which is good too. And it also allows for a little bit faster play because they can go longer, which is why a lot of people use her on bind because like be long is like good for like dogging out be long, getting that information. Same with showers, like stuff like that. So single initiator, let's go to Corrode. Double initiator, which is fair. Corrode is a very good map for double initiator. Split, single initiator, double. So I think NRG, the reason why they're so good is because they opt for the double initiator a lot more than a lot of other teams do. And in my opinion, double initiator is just very good because again, the game is about getting information on what the other team is doing. And the initiators, that's like their main goal is to get information. So when you're going up against a comp that only has like single initiator, and again, we said yours like a pseudo initiator, but you have to see the people to get the information. Like you don't just get the information off of like a PC util unless it's your ult. But like having double initiator, I think is one of the reasons why NRG is so successful because they play it on I think literally every map other than Haven. Haven's the only map where they're okay with running single initiator, I believe, out of all the maps that they play. So like you have to think right now, like with how much the meta is just like opping because so many people are using single initiator and you can't like clear out ops as well. I think NRG has it figured out in the way that like double initiator is kind of like the wave because of the way that people are playing. So like I think that's one thing when you're building your comps for team play to really focus on is like my team, for example, we really struggle against operators. Like, I'm not gonna lie, we have a very hard time clearing off operators, and I think part of the reason we have a hard time with it is because we opt for single initiator a lot because I'm playing to the strengths of like my team where we have two very, very good shooters. So we usually use like double duelists, or like sometimes we'll use a KO as well. Like our second entry will play KO. Um, but like I think that's one of the reasons why right now we're in like kind of an odd meta, is just because there you have this solo initiator with the 60-second cooldown, and it's just like if you don't use your utility perfectly, it's very hard to navigate around the map as an attacker. Um, because they could just have an op posted forever on a line, which is what I know that Mata gets an op up like all the time. I would be interested to see how many op kills he has on defense. But like as you can see, his first blood, like his first kill, first death on split alone was 9-3, which is like insane. He had 9 first bloods on one map, uh, which is like nuts. And I think across the whole thing, yeah, he was plus 10 on first bloods, first kill, first death. So that's like insane to have. Um, but again, I think part of the reason why he was able to obtain this is because MIBR plays so many double duelist comps that they just don't have the information to be able to kill Mata on defense, and Mata also is able to like free flow on attack because they're using double initiator on most of their maps, which means they have so much information. Right? You have the Skydog, you have the Skydog and the Teo drone to get you the information for Mata to like know exactly where his enemies are. Like these are things that I think when you're building comps, you kind of have to think about like what is our goal, what is our strengths, what is our weaknesses. If you're like a fast paced like if you're like the IGL of your team, you're like a fast paced player, right? Obviously, you don't need as much utility because your goal is to just run in their face and like take as many fights as possible. So you want more like fighting agents, you want more like flashes, you want the Yoru, you want the Waylay, um, then maybe like just the Sova as like a solo initiator, which I think is, to be fair, MIBR did a very good job on Bind of doing that. They literally, like I was watching this map before practice, and they were literally just taking fights to them. Like they started on defense, and they were, I think, well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It was 6-6 on Bind defense, which is not great, but it's also like not horrible. Um, because their comp is very much more attack sided anyways. Um, but like the on defense, literally they were just having Aspas and Zekin just run down NRG. Like the entire time they were playing defense, they were just in their faces, like taking fights, walking down on them and stuff like that, which again is pretty hard against this comp that they're playing, but they were able to make it work just because I think Aspas was feeling much more comfortable. They'd been playing him on Waylay before, and they switched him over to Raze, which I think is just a more comfort pick for him. Um, but yeah, like unless you're playing like this style of Valorant, like I think that double initiator is much easier to work with. Actually, what does Fnatic play? Does anyone know? Does Fnatic do? Do they do? Let's look at this. Yeah, they did double initiator, single initiator, single initiator, single as well. I'm very surprised that Fnatic does single initiator just because of how Boaster calls. Boaster is a very slow IGL. He likes to feel out the map and do everything like within the last like 20 to 30 seconds. Don't pro players use Reyna? No, not in matches. I mean, in ranked, maybe, because Reyna's just like a fighting agent. Like, you literally are just like throwing flashes and just fighting, and you can dismiss out and stuff like that. But even now, like, since the nerfs, Reyna's really not like a great agent to play. No, Martin played insane. I mean, Gentlemates isn't. I mean, they're very, very good. I'm sad because I wanted Fnatic to qual because I love Boaster, but at the end of the day, like, I mean, they're playing so great right now. So What do you think of Team Liquid comp with Waylay, Neon, and Sky? Um, Again, I think that's just playing to their um I think that's just them playing to their strengths. Um, because if you look at a player like Miniboo, like his Neon is his best agent by far. And I think comfortability is something that as an IGO or a coach or anything like that, you have to take it into account a little bit, because if your players are on stage and they're not comfortable, or if your players are in matches and they're not comfortable on the agent they're playing, they're obviously not going to perform to their highest potential. Like if you just look at this, like for a lot of duelists, this is like the stat right here, right? Your first kills versus your first deaths, because they're usually taking the opening engagements. His Neon is 153 to 109, where every other duelist he's on, besides Raze, which he's only played 3 times in the last 60 days. So in all of kickoff, he's only played 3 times, is 53-47. But every other one, he's in the negatives, which means he's dying first more than he's getting first kills. Oh shoot, sorry, we're looking at the wrong thing. Oh, I'm so sorry. Same thing applies, okay? Besides Yoru. Yoru's a good agent for first kills because you can get one and just get out instantly. And you have your flashes to set you up. But same thing applies. Like his Waylay is just not as comfortable as his Neon is. He's a lot more comfortable just running it down with his Neon. And I think that's what they did like against Fnatic yesterday on Corrode with this comp they ran. It was very much just like what can we do to have Miniboo play the best that he can? And I think Neon is just his best character. Do I think it's necessarily a good comp? Not really. I think it's kind of I mean it's out there. That's for sure. Like if I'm Fnatic, I would never in a million years have seen this comp. Like I don't expect to load into a Corrode game and see this is the matchup we're playing. Like I would never in a million years expect this. So that could be part of the reason, was it was just so out of left field that like how do you counter this? It takes you a while to figure out like what, like this is just so odd. You know what I mean? Nobody, I would be surprised if anyone has ran this. Like they probably are the only team that has ran this. Yeah, I think Ultra, I think, bro, narrate Waylay is crazy. I think Waylay's used a lot right now because her ability to be the first in, but also not risk her life for it, if that makes sense. Like you can double dash into places, especially on Corrode. Like you can really like, if you're attacking, you can double dash into B with your refract here. Like you can dive in, find somebody, throw your saturate at them, and then just get out for free. And then like if your team is following it up, it's just like a free kill. Like this person is just like a chicken sitting here. You know what I mean? Like I think Waylay, that's why I think Waylay's a little bit broken right now, because her refract is like instant. So like you go A, it's the same thing. Like you can't, unless you're like a Yoru on the enemy, like you really can't play in this corner, because if Waylay dashes at you and throws your saturate, like you're just dead. Like you have like a very short amount of time to get this kill on Waylay before she's just gone, and then her team is sprinting at you while you're just sitting there slowed like a chicken. So I think it's like right now, I think what I would like to see with Waylay is make it so that her refract takes a little bit of time. Like it's not instantaneous. Like maybe something like yours gate crash, where like it's not like as soon as you press a button you're gone. I would like to see her saturate go back down to like the smaller version that it used to be before she was being played. I feel like it's very big right now, and that's one of the reasons why she's being played, because it's just like dummy OP. I don't know. I like I said, I feel like after a little bit they might nerf Waylay, just because she's so good right now, and there's not really any duelists that compete with her in terms of like diving, just because of the ability to like instantly go in, throw utility, and get out without being hurt. I mean, you just it's one of those things where it's like, unless you're like staying to try and take a fight, which I think Waylay players should do, but it's like just the get out of jail for free card is just really strong with Waylay. Like I think it's stronger than like prime jet when like you didn't have to pop your dash. You just press the button and you dash. Like it's so good that I just don't know. Like it we'll just have to wait and see what happens. See those Neuroptima tubs? The comp is just ranked-ish, but also worked because yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like they played to their strengths, right? Like they played it like a ranked game and they just kind of ran it down and it worked because Fnatic plays very slow. They play this very slow postured style gameplay and you have a team that just chose to run it down. I think Liquid also typically plays like relatively slow. And they chose to completely switch up the tempo and I think that was like a major curveball thrown to Fnatic. I also think you have to look at Fnatic like I just going to best of 5, 13, 10, 16, 14, 6, 13, 12, 14, 12, 14. Like you have 3 overtime games in a best of 5 and you have to wake up the next day and play another BO5. Like it's just really tough. And we saw the same thing with MIBR, right? Like they had to play 3 back-to-back best of 5s. And it's just, I mean, when you think about playing 3 best of 5s in 3 days, like that is just tough. And like you're looking at it in a sense where like you played this best of 5, you played 5 maps against Furia. G2 was able to watch all 5 of these maps they played. So then G2 came in with a game plan, executed their game plan perfectly, and then you have to think NRG saw all of those maps that they played. All of these maps they played, all 8 matches or all 8 maps they played the day before, and NRG got to sit back and watch that and like VOD review on them and stuff. It's just it was a very tough it's a very tough format, the way that the kickoff format works. I liked it because it gave us a lot of high intensity matches, but I do feel for the players that had to play multiple BO5s like back to back to back days. Like that's just very hard. Like that is just like a tough. Yeah, it's tough to get around that. There's really, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, getting reverse swept too, like being up, being up 2-0 and then losing 3-2, like that's just heartbreaking. I mean, it's just tough, you know. The format was tough, but as a viewer, it was fun because there was a lot of matches, right? It was better than the kickoff matches or kickoff we've had previously, where you know there's not as many matches, like not as much Valorant to watch. Like there's so much to learn from watching the VODs, from all of those matches. No, I agree, Rebirth. I agree. I agree. I agree. I think the only problem for me was just that G2 had 5 days to practice and wait for them. Only happened in NA. Did it actually only happen in NA? Why do teams tend to run so much Viper on Haven? Okay, that's actually a great question. And this also ties really well into our talk about the initiator nerfs. So think about it like this, right? Right now teams run Viper. And they're only running, if they're not running Viper, they're typically running like a double duelist. You don't see anybody running, like the old comp used to be the Breach Sova, whatever. You don't see that anymore. But the reason why people are running double controller a lot right now, especially Viper, is because the lack of utility usage, right? So again, this goes back to like the start of the round thing, right? Like as a defender, what do you do here? Do you use your dart off the start of the round to guarantee the information A main? But then again, if you use the dart here and only one person shoots it, now you're gone without utility for 60 seconds. And this wall is so powerful for A control because unless they have somebody like a Yoru, oops, sorry, wrong color. Unless they have someone like a Yoru get down short with a TP out, you really can't tell what's going on the other side of this wall. You know what I mean? So it's like this wall is just so good because you instantly put it up at the start of every round, right? And the Sova has to make a conscious choice. The Sova has to either use their dart and lose it for 60 seconds, which allows the attackers to play methodically and go literally anywhere on the map without like a dart for information, or you have to save it and hope that they're not just 4-man walking down short, which does happen, or you have to save it and just hope they're not like 4-man walking down short. And if you have a guy playing like top short, like say your Viper's playing top short or something, then like hopefully if this guy's just like playing a jiggle angle, he can like get off site or get back site quickly, and then you're like fighting for your life on site. So I think people are running Viper on Haven right now because it's very good for defense and it's very good for attack. Like defense, this wall people do from like here out garage. I think it's like this. Also counters Killjoy because a lot of Killjoys will put their turret up here. But when you put this wall up as defenders, you can walk down mid and this Killjoy turret can't see you because your wall is up. So you can insert somebody down mid or you can get into mid window. And unless their Killjoy has an alarm bot sitting like right here in window off barrier start, which even if they do have it sitting here off barrier start, which the barrier is not there anymore. The barrier is like back here now. Pretty sure the barrier is back here now. Am I dumb? I don't. Is the barrier right here? Barriers are glitched. It's back here, no? It's like right here, no? I thought the barrier was like right. I thought it was like right here. Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say. I swear. I swear. I play this game all the time. Okay. 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 Anyways, so yeah, like this is like a very powerful wall because this allows you to get people down mid, and they have to expend more like people fighting for mid because you can just walk down for free with this wall up. Same thing for like retaking. Like it's very strong to just put your wall up and retake backside slash like this area. And the front side people can't really help. Also this Viper orb, everybody's throwing nowadays. Like from spawn, there's like a lineup like right here or something where you throw this before you run to C and throw your wall. This orb is very good. Not only do they take decay damage running out of sight, but like it's also used as like the smoke that you will see people in rank throwing all the time. So there's a lot of reasons. Um, there's a lot of reasons why the barriers are good. Interesting. I don't know why I thought. I don't know why it looks so weird. I don't know why I thought it was back here. Huh. Maybe because I just thought like your killjoy can't like fully control window. I don't know. Anyways, so Viper is just very strong because like again, the solo initiator comps really you really deprive them from information. I think a lot of double controller comps are very popular right now for that reason. Just because the information is so it's so bad right now. And again, this just comes back to the state of the game we're in. This is when you have to decide like what you're willing to risk and give up for like benefits of others. Um, like we run double controller on my team a lot because again, you have the ability to just lurk so much with this Viper wall. Like you could literally put 4 people behind this. You could flash out long. Like there's so much stuff you could do. You could put it up and have your whole team like what we like to do is we like to smoke top C so that they don't have the information on C either. I mean, you could literally have 4 people walking behind this smoke top C with the wall up A and have one person like have your Viper standing here to break the dart in case they do throw it and they just have no clue where you are off the round start. You know what I mean? Barrier on the left, trust me. I trust you, Chris. I trust you. Can you tell me how I can use deadlocked utility when retaking also starting on defense and attacking? Deadlock's utility for retaking, it's not really much you can do for retaking except for like her net. Her net's about the only piece of utility that you can like unless you have your wall for some reason, which you probably won't. Like her net is really the only thing, and like I would just throw it in common spots people play like when you're retaking so that they can't pull it out. Like they're kind of stuck in the crouch position. And then when you're Yosire Jazu. Also, like when you're playing Deadlock, same thing kind of applies. Like for if you're on defense, you kind of just want to use your wall to block off like one lane. Use your net when they're running in to like slow down their push, and then use your like sensors and like key positions like where their duelist might dash or something, and try to take fights off of it. As far as attacking goes, I would save your sensors for post plant. Because Deadlock's not really like a lurking agent. Deadlock is more of like a with the pack agent, just because of she's like a pseudo initiator because she has this net that's really good. Her wall is very good for like, I mean, obviously I can't show you like, I mean it's like super glitchy on a Valo plant, but like if you wall off CT and then you put like a sensor like here, so that when they try to come out, it like hits them, or you put a sensor here along this back wall so that when they come out, it hits them and they're stunned like in the middle of the open. You can put one here for when the person drops out of heaven and they hit hell, like it hits them. Like, there's a lot of good spots you can put sensors, but if you're attacking as Deadlock, I would save your sensors because they're not going to hold flank because you can just walk past them. They only activate off of like noise cues. Or like running, so running or shooting. So like I would save them for like retake, like put them in spots where they're gonna try to retake from. Um, Sentinel meta, dude. For Haven, I would say just Killjoy, just because of the amount of spaces you can hold down as Killjoy. I would say she's the best Sentinel right now for Haven specifically. Just because if you think about it, like this turret is very powerful. A lot of people put this turret because it sees this line and it sees this line, and then they'll put their alarm bot like front B. So like technically speaking, you have like you have control over this, you have control over this, and then you also have control over this without them being able to like, I guess the garage is not that big. It's more so this. But you have information on all of this, right? Without them being able to get into any of these lines without you knowing. So like that's pretty strong because you can stack more towards A. Like if you want to stack 3A, you're not really losing out on much. Sheesh, look at that drawing. You're not really losing out on much if you stack 3 towards A because you still have the information across the map. And I think the state that we're in right now, Sentinels are really used for information, and a lot of times I would say Sentinels are used for information and retaking. Like truly and honestly, as a Killjoy, like you're not gonna be staying on site fighting for your life unless your team is like, unless you have like an Omen or like a Viper playing with you. Like I guess if you have your Viper playing like backside C, then maybe you can like stay on and fight. Maybe you have your wall up or your Omen smokes mid sight for you. And then maybe you have like if you have a Yoru, maybe your Yoru TP's here, like then you fight for sight. But like right now, I feel like the meta we're in, like it's a lot of retaking. Sentinel utility is really just used to like either get one and get out, depending on who you're playing. Like if you're playing Vito, like you get one TP out. Same with Chamber, like you get one TP out. But other than that, I feel like a lot of Sentinel stuff is really just used for like gathering information about where they're going and then just retaking with your team. I feel like that's kind of where we're at, especially with the map pool. The map pool doesn't really help. I don't think there's a lot of maps where Sentinels are really favored to like hold down sites. Like Split is very hard to hold down a site as a Sentinel. It's more of a retakey kind of map. Abyss is more of a retakey kind of map. Except for, I mean, even B, like it's still like you want to retake more times than not. Haven is very retakey. Like you don't want to give up A. We've talked about this in a call. Like A is very hard to retake, so you're gonna use most of your resources to keep this bomb site, and then you're like willing and able to give up B and C because they're easier to retake. So like you have your Sentinel play like weak side with like all this utility for information. How to stop missing people that aren't looking at me? Dude, the ones that aren't looking at you are the hardest to kill. Not gonna lie. Cypher is limited, like anchoring, especially because enemies use double dual slot. KJ forced the enemies to default more. Yeah, I mean Cypher is just bad now. Unfortunately, when they nerfed him, they did him pretty dirty. They kind of put him in the ground. So he's just pretty bad at the moment. The only thing he's really got going for him is his cages and his camera. His trips are like next to useless now. Because you can't really like before you would set them up like mid sight or something and go for like a spam kill from like CT. Like nowadays, it takes so long for them to be scanned, and they're scanned for such a short amount of time. When they hit the trip, like it's just not. He's just not even worth playing. I honestly would not put Cypher in any of your comps unless you just have something that's like, unless you have something that is like I don't know. Well, yeah, I mean, if you have KJ ult, obviously like that's different, right? You put KJ towards A, you retake with ult. That's different. Like if you have your ult for A, like then you might set up differently, but like you don't have your ult every round, right? You get it like once a half, maybe twice if your Killjoy player is like really frying. But like, yeah, for defense, I mean, I would never send your KJ towards A really, unless it's like you're masking the setup with like two people fighting long early and then just like insta rotating, and then you have your killjoy playing here. But again, like it's kind of one of those things where you just kind of have to pick and choose like what your sentinel is used for. Coming from a guy who has almost 15 plus hours on sentinel agent, it kills me to say sentinels are honestly cooked in 2026. Yeah, yeah, sentinels are. I mean, right now the sentinels that are being used the most are probably these two slash just playing Viper. I would say. I would say heavy on chamber and then just Viper. Like there's a lot of not like no sentinel comps. Or again, like you have a killjoy, but she's literally just there for her alarm bot and turret getting you information, and your killjoy is just kind of useless on top of that. Like it's more just like a info gathering character. Um, there's not really like any fighting sentinels right now that are being played other than these two. These two are the only ones that are like willing and able to take fights, especially against the double duelist comps like the Waylay Yoru. Like these two are the only ones that can really afford to take a fight and then get out with it. Otherwise, it's kind of just like you're not locking down a site as Killjoy with Waylay dashing on you, throwing her saturate on you, and Yoru TPing backside on you. Like you're with a Sova dart scanning you. Like you're just not holding down sight with all that. It's just not happening. I find retaking on Haven really weird and hard. A site is very hard. B and C should be very easy. But we've talked about it before. Like if you're gonna retake C, you have to get garage space. You can't just all retake from spawn. You have to get this garage space. And if you get the garage space, then it makes retaking so much easier. We talked about how you need at least 2 lanes to retake. And the reason why A is so hard is because you're jumping out of heaven, and this is like very hard to jump out and get kills. And then you're also coming out of like one of the smallest chokes in the game. Whereas C, if you're retaking from here and here, or if you're retaking from here and here, like it's just easier. And then same with B, like you're either retaking from here, or you take front B control, and then you're retaking from here with like one person sitting like super late C link. Like it's just a lot easier to retake from all these other positions. A is just very hard to retake from in general. I would say. Can't say you failed if you never tried. It is very hard to get people flanking A. I think it's just because you could be shot from 2 directions, right? Like when you're in lobby, if you're flanking, like they can be long or they can be short. And short is kind of, in my opinion, short is like a very hard fight to take. Like I don't know, the angles are just kind of weird. I feel like the defender has kind of an advantage, or the person that's down low has like the advantage because you're walking through this small corridor and they have like more room to work with. And then again, like same thing here, like you're walking through this tiny corridor. Um, but yeah, I think retaking it, or like A is just hard because they could literally have like this kind of setup and you have to look at both angles. Like you have to clear here slowly, and like if they're playing like a weird off angle and then you swing wide and somebody sees you, then this person can swing you. Like it's very hard to flank A comparison to like C, where you're just like all you have to worry about is this big square in front of you. Um, and then same with B. Like B is a little hard, but like they're playing in small corridors, not you. Like you have like this area to work with, whereas they're playing like either here or here, and it's like pretty easy to know. Like they're either gonna be you're clearing here first, and then you're clearing window, and then you're clearing here. Like it's just very simple and basic, like a 3-tier clear, um, to retake front B. The event said you would. Oh, yes. Okay. Or prioritizing. Let's go over that really quickly before we end the call. I think this is a big thing that a lot of teams, like team play wise, this is something you want to focus on like a lot. Is like when you have a team, whose alts are the best alts on the team? That's like kind of like one of the things that we like to look at. So let's just do like a basic Haven comp, for example, and let's see if you guys can tell me who you think, whose ultimates are the best here and whose are the worst. You also have to think of how many ult orbs it takes. Double your. Oh shiz. Sheesh. Sorry, wrong blue character. Definitely not Omen. Okay, we can rule out Omen. Probably either Viper or KJ. Sova. Killjoy, Sova, Yoru, Viper, Omen. Probably Yoru, KJ. I guess it depends on situational, right? We'll say you're defending. And definitely KJ. KJ. Viper. KJ situational. Yeah. Okay. So you guys have a lot of the right ideas actually. Like, so early on, I would say these two or these three really are like very even in terms of like alt, and these two are very like. I mean, I would put Viper ahead of Omen. Omen's alt is obviously the worst out of all this comp, but I would say with these three, it's really situational based on who is closest to their ult. And I would say for a number of reasons, there's the reason that this can be is they all have like round changing ultimates. Um, like Sova ult can help you get back into a site if you're retaking by getting a kill. KJ ult obviously is big because it allows them to not be in a certain area, and your ult is really big for retaking as well because it's a free drone that can't be broken. Um, so I would say with these three, like what we do for our team is just depending on who's closest. I would say we probably prioritize your ult the most just because having unlimited information for like I don't even know how long his ult lasts is very good. And as well as Killjoy, the problem with Killjoy's ult is like the Sova on attack is more than likely just gonna save his ult for Killjoy ult. So like if your Killjoy's frying like early, then prioritize your Killjoy because then you can get a Killjoy ult down before they have Sova ult. But a lot of times for attackers, like you have to think like when you're attacking, your Sova is the one carrying the bomb most of the time. So your Sova's getting the plants down everywhere you go more times than not, right? So your Sova's getting alt orbs on attack like very easily. Like a lot of times they'll throw dart, C, and then grab the orb and then run up and plant. That's two orbs in one round. Plus they might die on the retake and maybe get a kill. Like that's 4 alt orbs in one round. Um Same with A, like they're throwing the dart, maybe droning short, grabbing the orb long, planting. Like it's all very situational based off of what the enemy Sova has. But Yoru and Sova ult, I would say, are probably the ones that I would prioritize the most just because these two have round winning implications, especially if you can combo them together. Like if you combo a Yoru ult on a retake with a Sova ult at the same time, it should be a free kill like 9 out of 10 times. Like this should just be an infinite free kill because you have walls basically to see where they are, right? I would say that this is like a perfect alt combination. And that's another thing that we talk about, like alt combinations a lot. Like you want to make sure you have good alt combos. And these two have like a perfect synchronous alt combo, which is why I think a lot of teams play these two at once because just you can use their alts together super well. But again, if your Killjoy is frying like early on in the half and their Sova is not getting like a bunch of alt orbs and stuff, then definitely go for your Killjoy alt because I mean this A is just so good. Like the only places they can be are all the way up here or in this corner. And if your Killjoy learns a lineup, which I think all Killjoy should have at this point, Haven's been out for years, right? Your Killjoy should have a Molly lineup that lands in this corner and that they should be able to pop. Um, you have to do this before, like, you want to do this before they get here because obviously if they're already like back here just sitting in the corner, they don't have to worry about like aiming at anything because you're not going to be able to get out and like fight them that quickly. So obviously they're just going to be looking at the ground. But if you pop this like while there's still like 5 seconds left and they're still running back, like it kind of makes them, they have two options. They either one, go behind this box, get detained, and they're out of the round for like what, 6 to 8 seconds or something. Or two, they have to sit here and tank damage from the molly, which is like also not really a great option. So there's really no great way to play it. But yeah, your Killjoy should have lineups for the spot specifically for when you do use that retake ult. It's very easy to learn. Um, Rose, I do a little bit of both. I make some strats on my own based off of things that we've done in scrims, and then I also like to take ideas from like professional, like pro vods as well. If I see a pro vod and I see a play that worked really well, like we might grab and steal it. But also you have to think like a lot of teams are doing the same thing. A lot of teams watch pro vods back and take ideas from it and stuff like that. So it kind of just depends. But a lot of times I come up with stuff just based off of like reps, like in scrims. Like if something's working really well, then we make it into a strat. Like if we have like a split that works really well and we like have utility that synchronizes really well, then like we'll make it into a strat and stuff like that. Um, yeah, I would say it's a little bit of both, coming up with my own stuff. Yes, and also, yeah, the reason why, sorry, if I guess I should have explained that. The reason why, if their Sova is close to ult, like, and you have Killjoy ult, like, a lot of times they'll just save it is because if you sit back here and just use Sova ult to break this, it just takes all three, like, Sova beams, and it breaks the Killjoy ult. So it's just, like, one for one, like, useless. Which is why I say that it kind of depends on what the enemy Sova is, like, looking like. If they're close to their ult, then I wouldn't prioritize your Killjoy ult because it's just going to get broken. Like, they're probably just going to save it for your Killjoy ult. It's pretty much what everyone does, unless they run, like, an ult play with it. But 9 times out of 10, if they're attacking and their Sova has ult and your Killjoy has ult, they're just waiting to go A if you're playing Killjoy A just to use their ult on your retake. What is Chris doing here? He's learning. Would it be good to establish with your team who has priority? Yes. If you are an IGL for your team, 100%, when you make a comp, think about who you want the ult priorities to go to and then let your team know. So that when you are defusing the spike, when you are grabbing ult orbs, like obviously for attack and defense, it's different, right? Like for attack, I would prioritize your ult because it is really good for taking sites. For defense, I would prioritize Sova ult for Haven at least if you're running this comp, and then your ult. But like yes, 100,000% go over your ult prioritization with your team and let them know, like, hey, this is the order in which I care about our ults. Like, depending on kills, like, if my Yoru has 4 out of 7, or 4 out of, I think it's 7, right? And my Sova has, like, 2 out of 8, then obviously we're going to give it to our Yoru because our Yoru is going to get it first. But, um, yes, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000%. When you are making your comps, think about ult prioritization and think about who you want to have the ults the most. How, like, if you want somebody to get their ult as many times as possible, like a lot of teams that run Phoenix, like, think about how, I think it's only 6 orbs for Phoenix ult. It might be 7. I think it's 6 though. Think about how many teams that run Phoenix literally just get his ult like every other round. 6 for Phoenix ult, yeah. So like it's so like we ran Phoenix on one map, and my Phoenix player is he is a very gifted player, like very talented. He got his ult I think 4 times in one half. On our attack half, was it 4 or 5? Yeah, 4 ults in one half. Yeah, so he got 4 ults in one half against a team that we played against on our attack half because he was literally just grabbing orbs, getting kills, and planting. And like I think he had his ult like second round. He used his ult like in the second round. He had his ult again like in the 4th round, and then again in like the 7th round, and then again in like the 11th round or something. So wait, who? I zoned out. We're talking about Phoenix. We're just talking about ult prioritization stuff. Like I was just saying, Phoenix is really good like attacking. Like you can get his ult so many times in one half if you prioritize getting his ult orbs and like letting him plant the bomb and stuff. What roles do IGL have opposed to coach? IGLs work very closely with the coach, I would say, in terms of building comps, making strats. I mean, an IGL is basically just a coach but playing, right? Like at the end of the day, you want to have the same ideology as your coach, but you have to be the one in game that's like commanding your team around, right? Like the coach is overseeing everything, and I think it's important that coaches and IGLs have very good like relationships and bonds with each other and have same ideologies. But obviously your IGL also has to be able to like play the game and like be like quick minded, and you know that's why you have a coach sitting in your coach slot so that like if there's stuff your IGL is not seeing, your coach can take attack pause and like talk about it, stuff like that. Yeah, orb juggling is a team play standard. Yes. All right. I think that's it for the day. Does anyone have any questions? Any last comments? Any last remarks that you guys would like to go over before we head out? Ranked question mark? Oh, any Astra tips I should steal? Condition stars on attack. I would say condition 3 stars at the beginning of every round. Like use the same 3 stars every single round, and what you do with them doesn't matter. Whether you smoke one of them and pull back the other two, it doesn't matter. Just always condition stars. And yes, keep 2 in your pocket. How do you turn into an IGL? To be honest with you, IGLing is one of the hardest things that I think I've ever done. It is one of the most tolling things that you can do to yourself. You just have to be very strong vocally, and you have to really understand the game to be an IGL. And I would say to start out, like if you're trying to IGL, just try to make little plays in ranked with your teammates. Try to tell them what to do in like a nice voice. Obviously, don't be like an ass to them, but like if you're trying to learn to become an IGL, just try microing some of your teammates in ranked, like being like, hey, I'm gonna do this. Can you do this off it? Like if I'm gonna flash you long, like can we try to take A, or can we like default A and then go back into a C split or something like that? Like try to like make plays for your team to do in ranked, and that's like a good way to like um lethal. I would say it depends on numbers. For that, I would say numbers matter. Um if you're up in numbers, it's good to play back and play post plant and just let your team take the fights if you have good post plant utility. Um I would say if you're gonna do lineups, try to not do lineups that are like across the map. Not like across the map, but you know what I mean? Like if you're playing A, like try to find a lineup that's like close. Like don't throw one from like here. You know what I mean? Like throw one that's like close enough to where you can like still help your team. Uh like so you're not like super far away in case like shit hits the fan. You want to be able to like still help your team fight. It's very situational though, like when to learn lineups for post plant and when to not play them. Uh, I don't have any YouTube recommendations on VOD reviewing. I think Steel has a good series, maybe on IGLing. Um, Josh Nissan, I think is his thing. He has a good IGL series that you could watch and learn a lot from. It's pretty old, but it's still pretty good to this day. Um, what about Neon instead of Yor? Who should get the ults then? It's just kind of the same. Who? Uh, Steel. Josh Nissan Steel. He's a he's an old CS and 100 Thieves player. For Valorant, he was a Valorant 100 Thieves player. He was their IGL back like when the game first came out. He is very knowledgeable on IGLing, and I think he has a series on YouTube, where you can go watch. But anyways, that's pretty much gonna do it. Let me see if I can find the Top Frag YouTube. I always forget what it's called. Does anyone have the name of this Top Frag YouTube where like the stuff goes? Oh, Harbor. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Harbor is cooked. Don't play Harbor. They made him worse. Top Frag VODs. Okay. Don't play Harbor. I'm just being honest with you. He's so bad right now. The state that they put him in is so bad. I think he's way worse. Do not play Harbor. All right, subscribe to this YouTube channel. All the VODs that we do are posted here. So if you miss calls and stuff, you can always look back on them here. As well as follow the Twitch. The Twitch is Valorant Academy GG. I'm gonna be weird seeing myself up here, but follow the Twitch as well. What should I watch from? Is the IGL reasonings? Because Harbor's best piece of utility was his Cascade, and they took it away. Yeah. Otherwise, if you guys have any other questions, I stream on Twitch as well. You can follow my Twitch. It's just twitch.tv/Redefy. I will put my thing in here. I will when I'm live, if you want to ask me questions or watch me play, I can give you guys some tips, information. Um, but I appreciate you guys all. Tubs in the back. Put in a good word for me. I'm trying to make it to EMU. All right, I will. I'll let Zach know. Is bio short for biography? It is. The tubs in the back are Neuroptima, neuroptima.com, code Redefy. If you guys want to, support me, be greatly appreciated. But I appreciate you guys hanging out this morning, this afternoon, this evening. Have a good rest of your day, good rest of your evening. And I will be back probably next week with another session, unless I pick up one from somebody else. But I hope you guys learned something today. Type 1 if you enjoyed, type 2 if you did not, type 3 if you're, I don't know, if you're handsome, type 3. All right, goodbye, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Adios.